Thank
Rosh Lema. Sirs Toibos. Shuos V'Nachamois.
Amen.
26th of August, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Good morning.
Welcome back, Lou.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good morning again.
Okay, where are we? Let's see here. Yesterday we were, boy, why do I not have a thing over here? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, something about the Rami Bar Chama and his din of Makbir Metzia Lechavero Kona Chavero. Gemora wanted to know where it was that we got this. Where did Rami Bar Chama get it from? Because he says Zosomeris. Zosomeris means that this, what we learned, means that you could say the following din. So we wanted to know. So yeah, so let's go from the beginning of that section. Amalei Rav Acha Bereder Rav Ada Rav Ashi. One Amora asks the another, Diuka the Rami Bar Chama Mehecha. Where did Rami Bar Chama get it from? And this can be found on the second wide line on Ches Amid Aleph. 8a, the second wide line. Got the place? Everybody got the place?
Page A3, right-hand column. Second paragraph, earlier, Rami Bar Chama.
Okay. So, Alan, you want to read for us?
Sure. 8A3. Earlier, Rabbi Bar Kama inferred from our Mishnah that if someone lifted an object intending to acquire it entirely for his fellow, the fellow requires it. The Gemara now asks, Omar le Rav Echor Baris, the Rav Adar, Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi. Wait a minute. The U K the me bar the Chama me Hekor, the inference of Rami Bar Chama from where is our Mishnah is derived. He need more may sure if you say that it is derived from the initial clause of the Mishnah is Shanim or Vin Ma Wis. If two litigants come before the court holding on to a cloak, and each claims I have found it, they must divide it. That is impossible. This clause does not support Rami Bar Chama's influence at all. There, this litigant means to claim Gemora Shuli is all mine. But ani on so and I lifted the entire object for myself. The kai and that it means to claim kolor shuli. It's all mine. But a nor the saw a kolor that lifted the entire object for myself. He claims to have lifted the object for the other. How then does Rami Bar Chama infer his ruling from this section of the Mishnah?
Okay, let's take a look at Rashi. The first Rashi over here is it's about 20 narrow lines up from where from the bottom 5 wide lines of Rashi, and it's Nibramastel Mehecha. From where?
From where we learned this, the A's of Bava, in which, which section, so to speak, in our Mishnah, Ka Dayak, this is a diuk, an inference, Lomar, to say, Zot Omeret. This is what it says.
Yeah. Okay. So, Gemora said, if you want to say it's from the Reisha, first in our Mishnah, beginning of Masechta, Beis Amud Aleph, Shnai Moksim B'Talis. 2 people come into the Beis Din holding onto the talis. So we got the Rashi, Hakamah, and the Gemara says no, this is not going to work. This is not the place that Rabbi Bar Chama could make an inference, because over there in what it says in the Mishnah, based upon what it says in the Mishnah, it can't work with Rabbi Bar Chama. So Rashi's going to explain us. Lou, you want to try to learn say the Rashi?
Yeah. Hakamar Kula Shali Ve'ena Ve'ana Ag Be'hase. What's Ag Be'hase?
It's lifting up. Hagba.
From the word Hagbah.
Hagba, he's lifted it up.
Oh, Hagba, Agba Ase. So this one says, it's all mine. I lifted it up. The
Right.
Hayach, Ne'amar, Lo Yikneh, Lo Zeh, Below Zeh. And how is it that we say neither of them acquires it? V'yavo achar v'yit v'na v'halo kol echad notain and we go after what's yitlana?
And someone else will come along and Itlena. He'll take it. He'll take it from the third party will take it from the two of them.
And is it not that everyone, what's Toan?
Toin he claims, that's his claim that he's making in the Bezdin.
He claim I lifted it up. If Ein Khan Magdia Metzia Le Chavero, and it is not it's not something he found from his friend. Uma Yeshlo, which is his, the Shlema, and he brings back completely. Hi Shekin Gado, Kinegdo, Hi Kinegdo, Ha Mochazak, Hamuchzak, Ba, Kemohu, that it corresponds to what's Mukzak?
He's Mukzak Bo. He has a presumption of being the owner because he's holding on to it.
It's like he says, "Be us, Ata, you didn't pick it up. Ki im ani, because you were with me."
Ki over here means since.
Since you were with me,
or maybe not since. Ki imani. It's a sort of like a funny expression Rashi's using over here. He means to say like this. Omar, he's saying, the other side is saying, Lo hagbata ata, you did not pick it up. Ki imani. Rather, I would translate ki over here as mean rather. Rather, imani. Rather, with me. I was the one that picked it up. The word im is very difficult. I don't know what to do with it. But his basic point is that the guy is saying, you're not the one that picked it up. I'm the one that picked it up.
Aval achar min hashuk ma yit on.
Yeah.
But afterwards, from the marketplace, what is yit on?
What will he claim? What's his claim going to be?
I don't get it. What does it mean? What's his claim from the marketplace?
Yeah. Okay. So we have to literally just give you the translation. It's aval achar min hashuk. Achar is referring to the third party. The other person, meaning the third party, not the two guys that are contesting over the talus, but the third party, min hashuk. He just came somewhere from nowhere, from the shuk. And he wants to grab it away from the two of them because Ma'iton, what's he going to claim? What's the basis of his claim to say, I'm entitled to grab this talus away from the two of you? He's got no claim whatsoever. Okay, so you have to understand what Rashi is talking about over here. And in order to understand that, we got to go back to what it was that the Gemora said about Rami Bar Chama. And this could be found a few lines up over here, where let's see, how many lines up are we talking about exactly? We're talking about in the upper portion of this Amid 8a, when we originally encountered the whole statement of Amar Rabbi Bar Chama Zosomeres. He's the one that said Zosomeres, Rabbi Bar Chama. He said this means that Makbiyah Metzia Chavero Chon Kabero. Where is that? That is Amar Rabbi Bar Chama. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines from the top of the page. First word in the line is Ella. See, this is what Rami Bar Chama says. He says Zosomeres, meaning he's referring to the Mishnah, some case of the Mishnah. From that case in the Mishnah, he's taking out this din Magmiyah B'tzil Chaver Kona Chavero. Jew number 1 picks up a talus on behalf of Jew number 2 with the intention that Jew number 2 should acquire it completely. He'll acquire it. If that's the das of Jew number 1, when he picks it up, he's capable of doing that. And that can be learned, that halacha can be learned out from a case in our Mishnah. Now the Gemora, our Gemora, today's Gemora said, where did Rabbi Bar Chama get that from our Mishnah? So the Gemora said so far, if you want to say that he got it from the case of Shnaim Oksim Batalis, and they both come in the Bezdin, it doesn't make any sense. Why? Because he says, Jew number 1 is holding on to the talus, says, it's all mine, and I picked it up. Meaning I picked the whole thing up. And actually, if you look in the language of the Gemora says, Kula, I picked the whole thing up. I didn't need anybody. No, I don't need anybody. I picked it all up by myself, and I own the whole talus. And the other Jew, number 2, is saying exactly the same thing. So now this is not at all like the case that we need to explain the din of Rami Bar Chama. That's what Rashi is pointing out over here. And furthermore, further on in the discussion of Rami Bar Chama, if you go down a couple more lines over there, you'll see that the Gemora said that that if you thought to say lo kona chabero, if you thought to say that Bar Chama's din is not true, tasek misha shemunachas al gabe karka, v'zu kamisha shemunachas al gabe karka. So then it'll practically come out being that each part of the talus will be as though it's lying on the ground, v'lo yikne lo zeh v'lo zeh, and not Jew number 1 who's holding on to it, nor Jew number 2 who's holding on to the talus will be considered to be the owner of any part of that talus. And till over there is the last, the end of the 4th wide line, all the way on the top in Rashi's, the top 4 lines, Rashi says on those words, "V'lo yikne lo zeh v'lo zeh," and he won't acquire it, and he won't acquire it. And then Rashi says these words that he's basing his whole discussion on an our Rashi about. He says, "V'kol harotze yitfenu miyodom," and anybody that wants to come along from the shuk and grab it away from the 2 of them, let him come and do it. Because why? Because these 2 Jews did not acquire it at all. So that's what we see that was the logic of Rabbi Bar Chama's proof coming from the case of the Gemora. So now Rashi, by us, in our Rashi is building his whole Rashi on those words that he himself said. And Rashi says, "Heyach nemar lo yikna lo zeh v'lo zeh v'yavo acher v'yitlena." How can the case of the Mishnah fit that description of how we describe the proof for Rami Bar Chama? That this one won't acquire and this one won't acquire, and an acher will come along and take it from both of them. Hello, kol echad. I'm continuing in our Rashi, this long Rashi here at the bottom. Hello, kol echad toen ani agbatie. Each one of these two Jews is saying, I picked up the talus, meaning I picked up the whole talus. I made a kinyan on the whole talus. The ein kan magbia Metzia lechavero, says Rashi, this is not a case of anybody who is picking a talus, not Jew number one and not Jew number two, picking up a talus for chavero, for somebody else. He's picking it up for himself alone. Uma yesh lo lahashiv. And what is there going to be for him to answer? I think those words are referring to third party that would come and grab it away from the two of them. So, and Rashi goes on to explain. Bishlema hai shekenegdo hamuksak bo kamoyu amar lo hagbata ata. We understand that this Jew number two, the one who's in opposition to the possession of Jew number one, and he's holding on, he's muksak bo in the talus, just like Jew number one is. Both of them are holding on. Amar lo hagbata ata ki imani. Says, you didn't pick it up. I was the one that picked it up. Another of the talus. I have the whole share of the whole talus. Aval acher mina, and each one of them, Jew number one, Jew number two, is saying that to the other one. But Jew number three that comes from the shuk, says Rashi, aval acher, the one from the shuk, ma yiton, what's his claim going to be? He's got no claim whatsoever. In other words, it's definitely the case that one of these two Jews, number one or number two, he owns the talus because he's the one that picked it up first. We don't know who picked it up first. We weren't there. Each one of them is claiming that they did. But one thing is for sure. It's either Jew number one's talus totally or Jew number two's talus totally. But Jew number three, he's got no chance of making any claim that the talus belongs to him whatsoever.
Well, why do you say it's Jew number one or Jew number two? Why couldn't it be both if they both picked it up at the same exact second?
Well, that's gonna come into the problem of how could it be that if they both got to pick up the whole talus? That's what our svara is saying, and unless so it's either Jew number one picked up the whole talus or Jew number two picked up the whole talus. If you say they both picked it up together, that's not what they're claiming. Neither one is saying that.
I see.
If there's a tzad to say that they both picked it up together, then we got the problem. Then we have Rami Bar Chama. He'll say, how could either one of them acquire any part of it? Because if they both picked it up together, that means neither one of them picked up the whole talus. And then we got the problem of, when it comes to a kinyan hagbah, you can't own any part of the talus unless you pick up the whole thing.
Right.
Okay. All right. Okay, so now we go back to our Gemora. Okay, so now at this point the Gemora has destroyed the possibility that the first case of Shnai Moksim B'Talis, that could be where Rabbi Bar Chama got his din from. It cannot be that that's where he got his din from. Now we move on. Ella says to Gemora, Ema. Oh, 1 second. Do I have the right place now? 1 second. I don't think I have the right place. Ella. Ella meha diktani. Ze omar kulu shali. Ze omar kulu shali. That's what we're up to in the Gemora. Alan, you ready to read again?
Yeah. 884, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The Gemara suggests that the inference is from the Mishnah's next phrase. Elam mehor the case or nay. Rather, Rami inferred his rule from this phrase, which teaches Zeh Omer Kolor Shali, and this one says it's all mine. Zeh Omer Kolor Shali, and this one says it is all mine. They divide the cloak. Horto Lamali. Why do I need the litigant to state this claim too? He already implied this when he declared, I found it. Ella, rather, ki noah, say roa, shema, noah. From this superfluous phrase, initial one can infer, hamedim biha, la bero, konor, bero, and that if one lists a found object intending to acquire entirely for his fellow, this fellow acquires the object. Gemora rejects this as well. Bahor al ki nor, but we have already interpreted Rishua Bima Si or that the Mishnah's initial phrase concerns a found object. Whereas it is concluding phrase concerning buying and selling. Thus, the concluding phrase cannot teach Rami Bar Chama's rule because it already teaches another. The more suggests that the inference is from the Mishnah's next clause. Ayla may say 4, rather Rami's source is from the concluding clause of the Mishnah. Zeh Omer Kolor Shali. This one says it is all mine. Zeh Omer Chabetzor Shali. And this one says half of it is mine. Or 2, Lama Li. Why do I need this clause too? The Mishnah's initial clause already taught that the object whose ownership is disputed or divided. Ela, rather, Mishnah, you say Ra, Shema, Minor, from the superfluous clause in the Mishnah, one can infer Amad Biha, Metzior, the Ha Ve Ro, a Konor, if one lifts a found object intended to acquire entirely from his fellow acquires it.
Okay, so very interesting learning the limud the Gemora is saying over here. The Gemora has a klal that if we could find what's called a Mishnah Yesera in the Mishnah, meaning a section, a din that the Gemora says, which is not really, which could already be learned out from what the Mishnah already said, and hence that makes this line of Gemora, this case the Gemora is bringing, basically superfluous, unnecessary. So we call that a Mishnah Yesera, and we say, oh, why is the Mishnah talking in such a redundant fashion? Why does the Mishnah telling us this din that we could already have inferred and learned out from the Mishnah already told us? Elamai, the Gemara wants to suggest that that we could say that this Mishnah Yisera is alluding to, is referring to the din that Rami Bar Chama wants to learn out. That somebody that picks up a talus and has in mind to cause his friend to acquire it, he'll acquire it. That's the principle of Mishnah Yisera, and the Gemora rejects the two suggestions of Mishnah Yisera over here, because we say no. In fact, that line of the superfluous, we need it. We have explained what that part of the Mishnah refers to. The first part when he says it's kula shali and I picked it up, that was referring to the case of where he found it. Each one claims that he found it. And over here, when it says this one says it's all mine and this one says it's all mine, don't say that that's redundant. Don't say that that's the same case as the previous case. It's talking about a case of Mekach HaMemkar, where they're both contending about who bought it from the Mekach HaMemkar means buying and selling. We're not talking about how a talus was found somewhere in the shuk. We're talking about how a talus was bought by a seller. And the question was, who's the one who bought the talus? Mekach HaMemkar. So we need a case like that, because we wouldn't be able to learn out the case of Mekach HaMemkar from the case of Metzia. So therefore, it's necessary, and therefore we don't say that it's a Mishnah Yisera. And the same thing, we're in the middle over here. We have any time left? We have a few minutes left. The same thing over here when the Mishnah says, let's go to the Seifa. We got a case where the Mishnah tells us that Jew number 1 says Kula Shali, and Jew number 2 says Katzia Shali. He says only half of it belongs, he's claiming half of it belongs to me. So the Gemora says, Lamali, we don't need this case either. Based upon what we learned so far, whether it's talking about Metzia or Mekach HaMemkar, finding it or buying and selling, we could figure out from what we already been taught what the din is going to be in this case either. And that makes, therefore, this case superfluous, Mishnah Yisera. So therefore, if we can say that this line is a Mishnah Yisera, we can therefore say, Shema Mina, it must be coming to tell us something, and it's going to tell us the din of Rami Bar Chama. Makbir Metzia lechavero kone chavero. And if you'll ask me the question, but what does this have to do with the din of Rami Bar Chama? This one says the whole thing is mine. This one says half of it is mine. How on earth does that allude to the din of Rami Bar Chama that we can see from what that case tells us that if a Jew, number 1, picks up a talus totally, exclusively with in mind for Jew number 2 to acquire it, he can acquire it, Jew number 2. What's it got to do? I say to you, that's a good question. That's what the Gemara says. Okay. Now, we got 4 minutes left. What?
Start the Rashi on this one then.
Okay, yeah, Mishnah Yisera. Maybe Rashi's gonna say something. Okay.
Mishnah Yisera from the extra teaching there. Amrinan del Magbi Metzia, a found object, the chuli. Umishum hachim, because of this, that they should divide it. The Ule and Havile call a card, and if it was that one did a Metzia, lifted it up to find object, low for himself, Ul lechavero, for himself and for his friend, Vakani, and he acquires it. The E Mishum, because if he didn't know Hi, Minaim, which one it was. Me Sheka, from which one it is, who's the one who is lying on this? The who lay and he a motel that is put its suffix in doubt. It's a monetary thing that's in doubt. The Cholkim, they divide b'shvua, and they divide it up with the shvua. Mishum, because shalo, because that's not low. It is shalo, yeah, shalo. That it's not Yehei kol achad. It's not that each one, but kol achad v'chan, each one of them, whole goes the whole cave and like grabs it, get the amrin like we said above on Daf Gimel. Hi, Shmat. We learn of this lay Marisha. We learn it from the first part, in the ratio. Okay, try to explain that tomorrow. Take care. Be well.
Okay. All the best, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye, Lou. Bye, Alan.
Bye. Thank
All
you.
the best.